Okay, this one's going to be a story about me. I'm a little bit lost. Never thought I'd be here. 2,500 Ks. 5 years of trying to work out where I am and what's going on, and what's eventuated, what's happened. There's no sense to it. I've never worked it out.
So they just were the last two to go down the mountain. Brad told her, just take it slow.
I thought, oh, cool, Brad's ringing. But it wasn't quite the phone call I wanted to hear.
Frenchie, come out to the table. Brad's cool. He was basically collecting my decks, and we got talking, and we decided I could save him a ton on shipping. So he sends his decks to me, and I box them up and send them over. It's been great getting to know him, and he's got a great collection of hill decks.
So do you know anyone else who's lost their life while skateboarding?
When I was growing up, I used to skateboard with Kid Erickson and of course Brandon Chapman and Jake Bradley, and that was our crew. And Kid Erickson, he did a handrail trick and he fell forward and he never falls down. He always runs out of his stuff, not like me. I would just pack into the ground face first, it's just the way it went. But he would always run out of his stuff. So he ran out of his trick down about a 10-stair handrail and hit his head on a bumper of a car, and he got a concussion, but he didn't go to the hospital. And a few days later, he was feeling lightheaded when he was standing at the top of some stairs, probably about 10 stairs, and he passed out, hit his head on those stairs, and never recovered. He lost his life, essentially skating. He'll always be missed.
It's the way it goes. I was looking to decapitate some people, but at the end of it, he did it to himself. So
So you think it's a little better off that he's doing something you love?
absolutely,
Kid's the kind of guy that always had a smile on his face. A few times I really was trying to push him, to be like, things are real shitty, I kept giving him bad news and expecting his expression to change. And he held to the positive, and he held to that little smile on his face, and about, a little bit way through trying to get him to acknowledge that life is shitty at that moment, I actually looked at him and kind of just gave up on it, because I knew that you weren't going to be able to turn him negative. And I'll always think that he's basically still alive. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not really willing to just let him go, so.
I remember thinking to myself at the top, I'll let Sue go first. She's a local from the area. Not only that, but she'd street luged on that hill before with her friends. As we'd done our first couple of pushes, I'd always reach up, grab her by the hand, and depending on who was going first, we'd give ourselves a friendly push through to first place. Of course, 99% of the time that was me. And she always followed me down perfect. But on this one occasion, because I hadn't ridden the hill before, I sent Sue down in front of me. So we get through the first 2 corners, 3 corners, and everything seems to be fine. So I'm just watching Sue and the speeds are slowly increasing. By this stage, we're probably doing about 50, 55 kilometres an hour. We go through a right-hander. The right-hander's 50 kilometres an hour and then slowly accelerates up to about 60 into the next left-hander. I can see it in front of me, so I know what's about to happen. So this left-hand corner, which has gone around big, it sweeps and it cuts in very sharp at the end. I remember her coming along and foot braking slowly, so I'm thinking she's doing the right thing. She's starting to slow down because she's going wide into the corner. She's gone wider through the corner on the left hand on the exit. I thought I can make it round the outside of her and bring her back. There was no hope. I tried my hardest. I went to the back of her and then I pulled around the outside, and as I pulled around the outside I realised I'm in a very dangerous position here. I'm now on the totally wrong side of the road. I'm a foot away from a guardrail and I'm trying to cut her street luge and bring her back, and within a split second I realised I haven't made it. I can't make it. I cannot go where she's going. I haven't got enough time. There's just no time. It's a split second and I've just got no time. And I just turned left, and as I remember turning left, I remember seeing it go under the guardrail and hit the guardrail. I pulled off to the left as hard as I could. I basically ran off the road. I pulled off as hard as I could and jumped straight off my board, ripped my helmet off and ran back. I was only 15 metres from where the accident had happened when I stopped. By the time I got to the edge of the guardrail, I seen my friend screaming for an ambulance and he was crying. There was tears rolling down his face. He was just in shock. It was just an unbelievable thing to witness. And I thought the best. I thought there's a small injury. I'm going to jump over the guardrail and Sue's going to be fine.
The fellow in the van stopped and jumped over, and Brad stopped and jumped over, and he grabbed her and he just held her in his arms, and she'd passed away. She was dead. So then the coroner, the ambulance and the police all had to come.
Sue wasn't moving. She was, I don't know, I was just in shock. I've had to deal with 10, 15 cases where I've had people die on me. But when you move to a new town, you've packed up your whole life, you've asked someone to marry you, and within 6 days of getting there, you're standing on the side of the road and you've just lost every single thing in the world that matters to you. You have no comprehension of what it's like to sell everything, to move away to a new town, to move into someone's house, and then for them to be gone. This is the bit I've always struggled with, and of course I've run it over in my head 1,000,000 times, is what exactly happened in that couple of seconds before the accident happened. I've got no idea. I still don't know to this day. I think about it every single night.
Bradley continued holding her and wouldn't let her go. They were there for hours. They finally had done and measured and questioned and all the rest of it, and they were putting her body into the ambulance to take to the morgue, and he asked to go with her, and the coroner first said no, but then they said yes he could, but he could only hold her hand. But that was enough for him. But Bradley, because he told Sue that he loved her and he'd hold her hand forever and guide her and help her, he just felt he let her down. I didn't hold her hand, no. I shouldn't have let her go.
Tell us how you found out.
I was driving to Penrith from Newcastle. I don't know why, but I saw the phone vibrating on the seat beside me. I thought, oh, God. So I pulled over and answered it, and he said, Mum? I said, yes. He goes, are you stopped? Pull off the road. I said, no, I'm already stopped and pulled off the road. Why, love? He goes, Sue's dead. Like, just everything had drained out of my body. I'm even feeling it now. Just like everything drains and you just go like numb. I just felt absolutely useless. I could tell that I needed to be there with him, and I wasn't. It was so hard. So anyway, then I just didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I had to get to Brisbane. I had to be up there with Brad. We rang Brad, and he said, because we wanted to go up straight away, Brad said, no, don't, Mum. He said, look, I'm going to have to see Sue's mum. He said, we're going to have to make funeral arrangements. He said, what else has to happen? He said, I'd just rather you stay at home and just come up the day before the funeral. He said, I'm okay. Really, I'm okay. But I just don't think the shock had set in. I don't think he accepted it. I don't think he's still accepting it. Yesterday was Sue's birthday, and I rang him and I said to him, hi mate, how you going? He said, yeah, I'm okay. I talked to him about the board that he had made for Sue as a tribute to her. We chatted about a couple of other things, and then I said to him, are you coping? And he said, I wasn't, but he said, there's a lot of people come here today to ride. He said, so that's keeping me occupied. He said, and then this afternoon, I think I'll go for a fish. And he sounded all calm and lovely and good, but I know he still hasn't accepted Sue's death. Or accepted it, but not coping. And why would you not be like that after what he had to go through? Just holding Sue's body for hours and not letting her go. How much of that can you put in your brain and still be normal? So-called normal.
I met Sue very briefly. He'd been through a lot of stuff, I guess, and in his previous relationship, and sort of came out the end of that quite, left a bit bare and sort of wondering what happened. And when he met Sue, I thought, oh, that's great. He's met someone that he can relate to and who he can do things with. And Brad said one day, we're coming past, so we'll drop in and see you. So, we just met briefly here. I met Sue, and you could just see she was the best thing for him ever. He was so happy, and she was just an awesome lady, You could tell that she really cared for Brad, and that was it for her. That was where she was headed with, because I guess she'd had previous marriage and all that sort of stuff that she was getting through. But that was 2 weeks before the accident. So it was quite devastating. I just met her and realised how happy he was and how focused he was and determined to make this new life together. And all of a sudden it was over for him, and of course more devastating for Sue because she lost her life.
At the time of the accident, I hadn't spoken to Brad for around a month. I knew he was due to be in Brisbane very soon, but I didn't know exactly when. So I was waiting to get a phone call from him to say that he'd arrived and he'd settled in. One day when I arrived at work, I was preparing to start my shift. I walked inside, I put my lunchbox on the lunchroom table, and there staring back at me on the front page of the paper was Sue's picture with the insert of Brad. getting consoled by other riders on the hill. I read the headline and that was it. I was devastated.
Yeah, I remember that Saturday morning distinctively. I was at work. I got a phone call off a friend of mine, and he said, "Oh, glad to hear your voice. Just heard that someone died on Mount Coo-tha." I said, "Yeah, sorry, it wasn't me, but yeah, I know what's going on." And yeah, I couldn't get hold of anybody on the phone, as in other riders, Sue herself, because I knew who was going out on that ride that day, but I couldn't make it through work commitments. I rang my boss and said, "Look, I can't do any more jobs. I've got a situation to attend to." And yeah, it wasn't a very nice situation. Not a great day at all. Changed my life forever. Changed a lot of people's lives.
No, I'm unfortunately I never got to meet Sue. Knowing Brad as well as I do, and knowing that he had found the girl of his dreams, and then having that happen to him, I felt for Brad, and yeah, it got me a bit, you know.
Well, Sue, I only met a few times through the scene. She was a very well-liked lady in the downhill scene and very well respected in the community, you know. And after her accident, you could tell how respected she was, because if it was, you know, one of the kids who had that accident, the news would have kept going, but she, you know, it was just said for one night and that was it. Her funeral was just overcrowded with people that, you know, came to show their respect. And yeah, I'm glad I got to meet her, and it was pretty cool, a lady of her, you know, who she is, enjoying street luging.
This place is never ending. It really is. Always something to do. Grab some timber, burn some timber, cut more grass, burn more grass. 88 acres, non-stop work. That's all it is. You can continually keep going round and round in circles all day long. Analogy of life. Head round in circles. You will come to the end.
Both Brad and Carl are quite accomplished fishermen. They both make their own lures and have won competitions with their own homemade lures. So after a few days of rethinking their equipment, you can bet they were back at it on their mission to catch that big fish.
He's just a cool guy, and you know, I like seeing him and his brothers pictures of their decks, and also, you know, their fishing expeditions and stuff. They're a bunch of cool guys. I wish I had time to go do some fishing with those guys.
and then the bloke just popped back up on its own, and you go, no!
What, just the mud cod pulling it down?
No, the mud cod's that you've been taken, and the barra spat it out for some reason again. It was like running with his tail or something. Oh!
He's going to follow right up.
Right up. He chased it all the way up and tried to bite it off my line.
How big?
Oh, it was 60, 70. Up there.
I didn't know what to do.
I know, I seen you.
I was like, I've got nothing. He's at the tip of the rod.
Leave it there. I've got a funny feeling your float's going to go down soon.
Might check your drag. Everything's alright. Oh, let it go, let it go, let it go. Right, now it's right. Slow. Got it? Let it keep biting. Let it bite you, let it bite you. Good size. Yes! Yes! Yes!
Nice work.
Been waiting for this for a long time. I can put my hand in his mouth, can't I?
Oh, be careful. Because your hooks are in there and that too. He's a big fish, Carl. Be careful in his mouth. He's got razor sharp gill plates too, Carl.
My first barramundi. This is one of the things I come up here for, to spend time with my brother and catch one of these. And I've done it. Absolute gold. Absolute brilliant moment.
Oh yeah. Bag's not cleaning fish. Big job with a barrel like that, Carl. I'm telling ya. Don't worry about your little grim. It's all good. There's nothing floating on down there yet. Yep, now it is. You ready? You go, Dan. Try a little one, Carl. Wait up, get away from your water's edge. Oh. That's number 2. Woohoo! Oops. Is he legal too, wouldn't he? Yeah, he's legal. Nice one for the trip. You eating good tonight?
Fish and chips for dinner tonight. Beautiful fresh barramundi. A couple of trips I've been up here, I've tried to catch the elusive barra before, and it just never seems to happen. But this time, I did it. Did it with my bro. Awesome, awesome.
I don't think he should be in Mirrawinny anymore. I think he should be down here.
Yeah, there's been a few things going on in his life that I haven't been notified of.
It's a game changer when, you know, things in your life are taken away from you and you can't get them back.
And he's going better than what I thought. He's doing good.